Chapter 41. Tabitha and Yasmin. Tabitha sat watching Amanda from across the room, pretending to listen as Amanda rambled on about John and her pregnancy. She struggled to keep her eyes from rolling, wondering when Amanda would shut up. Who cared about her brat? In the decree, lineage determined everything, and Amanda's child would always be below Tabitha's son, the heir to the decree dynasty. A smile tugged at her lips as her heart quickened with anticipation. Her son. The realization was almost too incredible to grasp. After years of waiting and hoping, she would finally be a mother. Her eyes darted to Yasmin, seated on her right side. Tabitha found herself constantly fixated on her, unable to look away for too long. Catching herself staring, trying to spot any subtle changes in Yasmin's waist. Yasmin slumped in her chair, her face a blank canvas, her half-closed eyes fixed on the table in front of her as Amanda's incessant chatter with the other group of women filled the room like a swarm of bees. Her mind was elsewhere. Tabitha felt the same and wondered how long she could keep up this facade, pretending to be interested while her mind drifted further and further away. "Have you found out the gender yet?" Tabitha interrupted. She raised her cup of tea to her dry lips and gulped the hot liquid down. She couldn't care less about what Amanda was having, but she needed something to busy her mind. Seeing Yasmin sitting beside her, the tiny ball showing within her shirt was too much. She knew that Yasmin carried the child meant for Tabitha, but witnessing her day in and day out growing larger with Malcolm's child was taking its toll on her. It should be her pregnant with Malcolm's heir, not Ben's bimbo. She closed her eyes, trying to erase the image of Malcolm hovering over Yasmin's drugged body, impregnating her with the child she couldn't carry. "No, we don't want to find out," Amanda chirped on, her voice piercing Tabitha's head like an axe. "John and I figure any child will be a blessed new member of the decree." Tabitha attempted a smile, but her mouth felt tight and constrained. "It'd be so great! Our babies will grow up together, playmates from the crib." Amanda beamed, her face the flustered look of one obsessed. Tabitha kept her fake smile plastered on, trying hard not to jump out of her skin. There was no way Amanda's brat would be anywhere near her baby. The woman's child would be bowing down and serving her son. Amanda was delusional. Tabitha hated that Malcolm wanted her to portray herself as equal to the lower soldiers' spouses. That's what John Wilder was, although he didn't know it. He and Amanda thought they were so high up in the decree, totally unaware that it was far from the truth. John Wilder was and always had been more of a recruiter for the organization, not the muscle that really got things done. But you couldn't have a growing community if all you had were criminals willing to do anything for their leader. That was for sure, although Malcolm didn't realize this, that is, until Tabitha. Of course, it was she who advised him on searching outside the collection of drunk-on-power hooligans that readily signed up to be part of the decree. They needed men with wives like John and Amanda Wilder if they were really going to be taken seriously as an organization wanting to change the world. Family men who guarded the compound and kept care of stuff that needed to be done. There was plenty to do. The decree numbers were expanding, and soon it would be growing with new numbers born into the community. The sudden sound of a chair scraping against the floor jolted Tabitha back to the present moment. Yasmin stood, looking around at the woman seated before her. Flustered, she made a comment about needing to lie down. Everyone jumped up, as did Tabitha. "I will come with you." Tabitha bristled with anger that she was forced to respond to Yasmin like everybody else. She was Malcolm's wife, not the slut who was carrying his child. A woman whom everyone seemed to react to and cater to above all others. A fact that burned within Tabitha like hot coal. "No!" Yasmin's voice pierced the air. Her words cut through the tense silence. All eyes turned towards her. The weight of their gaze bore down on her, but she refused to back down from Tabitha. The pressure inside Tabitha's head mounted, boiling and bubbling until it threatened to overflow. She closed her eyes and took deep breaths, trying to calm the storm raging within her. She could feel her heart racing and her palms beginning to sweat. Opening her eyes again, she tried to focus on anything other than Yasmin's retreating figure, with her long, curly hair bouncing behind her. "Just a few more months," Tabitha reminded herself, wishing the time to pass quickly. "Then she'll be gone for good." Despite Malcolm's reassurance that this would be true, a small part of her didn't trust him. She'd seen the way his eyes roamed over Yasmin when he thought no one was looking. Yasmin needed to go. Once the baby was born, Tabitha was going to make it happen. Yasmin's footsteps echoed down the stark white hallway as she hurried along, aware of Tabitha's judgmental gaze on her back. She quickened her pace, unable to bear another second in the room filled with the mindless drones. Listening to Leah's old friend plan their children's lives growing up in this cult was unbearable. Amanda had no idea what she was bringing her child into. She was totally oblivious to the destruction the decree had done. Most of these glazed-eyed puppets following Malcolm were in the dark. They were shaking hands with the devil, unaware they'd sold their souls for the very thing they thought they were trying to save. Fools, she thought as she rushed closer to her rooms. Not all in that room were blind. No, not all. The warm, fluttering sensation of the fetus stirring within her caused Yasmin's stomach to churn. She pressed a hand to her abdomen, feeling the small life growing within her. She couldn't help but feel sickened by the sensation. There was one person besides Yasmin who knew exactly what was going on outside the complex walls. Tabitha. Tabitha knew everything. Yasmin entered her room and quickly locked the door behind her. She knew it would be empty, as Ben and Malcolm were likely occupied devising other heinous schemes to kill people and control them. Not that it mattered if he was there. He had little use for her these days. The more her pregnancy showed itself, the more Malcolm wanted her by his side, pushing his wife aside to make room for the chosen one, displaying her like some perverse Virgin Mary. Later, Ben's passion would consume her with such fiery intensity that she felt more like an object of possession. A fight to see who she belonged to, Malcolm or Ben. Ben's way of saying that Malcolm could have her womb, but Yasmin was Ben's to do as he pleased. Men, she thought. It was all about their egos and who was the biggest lion in the den. Yasmin was only a carcass they fought over, nothing more than dead meat. She sighed and sat down on the bed, feeling defeated. Is this what she deserved for sleeping with another woman's husband? She thought of Leah and Adam. Ben acted like he turned his back on his own son for Malcolm, giving him up for dead so he could be Malcolm's head man. But Yasmin had her own secrets too. She knew more about Ben than she'd let on. An overwhelming pain of hurt squeezed her chest as she grasped her closed palm to the place that hurt the most. Her heart. Her mouth opened in a silent cry for help as she banged her fists on each side of the bed she sat on, wishing the hurt Ben caused would go away along with being trapped here in this godforsaken commune. How the hell did she end up here, abandoned, raped, and pregnant? She clasped her hands around the small mound of her belly, tilting her head back and silently screamed. The only sounds were the raspy inhalation of each gasp of air she didn't think she could swallow. Ben sold her soul without asking, and she still loved him. No more. No more would she allow these two men to have control over her life. A soft tapping echoed through the room, followed by a slight rattling of the door handle. Holding her breath, she waited for a response. Yasmin? Tabitha's sharp voice cut through the silence, causing Yasmin to shiver as all the warmth she had left drained from her body. Are you all right? Why is the door locked? Tabitha knocked louder, her concern growing more urgent. Do you need me to get the doctor? Or Malcolm? At the mention of Malcolm's name, Yasmin stood up. No, she replied quicker than she wanted. Her hands flew to her hair, raking it away from her face. Go away! She screamed inside her head, imagining punching Tabitha in her smug face. I'm fine. Just tired. Going to lay down for a bit. See you tomorrow. She lied. There was a pause at the door. Are you sure? Is the baby all right? I should get the doctor at the very least. Tabitha's voice felt like insects crawling all over her body, trying to dig inside her flesh to fester. Everything's fine, Yasmin said through clenched teeth, forcing herself to reply. Glad you were thinking of me, bitch. Maybe I should get Malcolm. Tabitha, I just need rest. This is what pregnant women want most. She paused, wanting to open the door and grab Malcolm's wife by the hair and yank it over and over again. Maybe even slap her across the head a few times, but that would just cause more trouble. A thought came to her then.
Now, please, if you don't mind, my body needs to lay down. I know you don't understand this, but growing a baby is exhausting.
She paused, getting up and pressing her ear to the door, trying to listen to the other side.
There's so much movement now. I just need to lie down with nothing constrictive against my skin. Just climb under the sheets naked. Let it all hang out.
She gave a laugh for effect, but realizing she was caressing her stomach while speaking.
Even my bras are too tight. My breasts have swollen so much it's obscene. Fine.
Tabitha's voice cut through the air with a sharp edge. She was pissed. Good. Sometimes words were as effective as a punch in the face. If there was anyone she disliked as much as Malcolm, it was Tabitha. No noise came from the other side of the door. It was safe to assume Tabitha was gone. But for how long was another story. It was at that moment Yasmin knew she was leaving. Tabitha would be back with Malcolm and Ben. She couldn't do it anymore. She couldn't stand by and play the happy, chosen one. More importantly, she could not play a part in making Malcolm and Tabitha parents. She looked around the room, waiting for someone to jump out and hold her down, forcing her to stop. But there was no one. Rushing to the closet, she hastily grabbed a coat and slipped it over her shoulders, the comforting weight of the fabric giving her strength. In one swift motion, she filled a leather satchel Malcolm had given her after her baptism with some belongings. She gave one look around the empty room she'd shared with Ben the last several months, waiting for some emotions to take over her, something to make her feel. No emotions came. Turning, she swung open the door, stepping out into the hallway. Ben wasn't the only one who kept secrets outside of the decree. Yasmin did too. Some way, somehow, she had to get to Hayden. It was her only hope.